Welcome to the Crazy Cool Family Podcast with Don and Suzanne Manning.
A podcast where we share with you great insights about everything family from over 30 years of parenting 7 kids and over a decade of equipping parents through our Crazy Cool Family ministry.
So let us inspire and equip you to build your best family.
Are you looking for an encouraging book to read? We wrote a book called Crazy Cool Family. It's based on our 30-plus years of parenting experience and all God taught us about His heart for relationships. You want to read something engaging, funny, and that inspires you to love every person in your family? Our Crazy Cool Family book is just for you. Click the link in the show notes to purchase a copy today.
Hello, Crazy Cool Family. I am here with Macy today, and we're going to talk about all things Crazy Cool Family. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about culture. We're going to talk about winning at family. I'm actually excited about this podcast because I don't know if it's my expertise, but it's definitely my wheelhouse. We're going to talk about what it looks like in the day in the life of a mom. And so I'm excited to kind of go back down memory lane and remember when the kids were little and when they were middles and when they were big, because I'm going to tell you what, mamas, my days look radically different today than they did back then.
Yeah. And when we were building this idea, we feel like we do have a large demographic of people that follow us that are moms and that are in a lot of different seasons. But me and my mom were just kind of saying, like, Mom, you've kind of lived a lot of lives. You know, you lived the littles at home and doing the Mother's Day out. And then you lived the going to school or going to school with us or doing school drop-offs and having sports or practices or games every single night of the week. And now you're like,
I was a working mom there for a while.
Working mom.
Yeah,
mom with the kids in college. Your days have all looked very different. And so it just feels like your wheelhouse, but definitely it's like the 10,000 hours makes you an expert. It's like you've done 1 million bajillion hours of stay-at-home mom life and working mom life. And so I feel like there's a lot of wisdom and just practical things that the goal is to kind of pull out of you today as we talk about the life in a day in the life of a mom.
There you go. And so I just want to say, before we even, talk about what the days look like for me, I just want to encourage you moms that it's worth it. I'm on the other side of it and it's worth it. The memories that you're building, the time you're investing, the exhaustion that you're feeling, it's worth it. It's, yes. So carry on, pick up your cross and carry it and continue to do what you're doing, raising mighty warriors for the kingdom, because it's the most important thing that you get to do, that we get to do as moms, as women this side of heaven.
Well, and from the kid perspective, it's really worth it. Now that I'm a mom and I'm seeing the investment it took, it gives this just surreal appreciation, this deep awe I have for my mom. I always thought she was the most amazing person in the world, but now knowing,
I think because I told you that I'm so amazing, Macy.
Brainwashed. Don't you know I'm the best mom ever? But I just feel like as the kid who received the full investment of a mom, it is life-changing to have a mom that shows up for you and loves you. And we're going to talk about some ways to do that in the midst of the exhaustion and the hard seasons and all the transitions. So we're just going to start. I'm going to ask you some questions, rapid fire, answer them, take us down memory lane, but just kind of going through some mom culture today. And we'll scoop in dads and how dads can kind of help. So if you're a dad and you're listening, don't turn it off yet, because you're probably going to learn some things about your wife or your spouse.
Yeah, how to support your mate
culture of your family.
Yeah.
Okay, so first question, pretty broad, but what did you do all day long when you were not stuck, but you chose to be at home with your children all day long?
I remember getting that question from moms at church that worked all day, and they're like, what do you do all day? And I know that they just probably imagined that I just sat around and watched TV and read a book and
cook dinner at your
cook dinner, yes, all the things. But as a stay-at-home mom with small children, mothers out there, you all know that the day just gets filled up. It just gets filled up. And so the best way that I used the day to my advantage is I broke it up into 3 different sections. And so it was before nap, after nap, and then evening dinner time. And so when I could attack my day with those three sections in mind, that if I totally lost the morning, if I lost my mind or lost it on my kids or lost, whatever, then I knew that I was going to have a reset at nap time, and that I was going to get to have a next portion of my day that I could be a super mom in, and I could be amazing and incredible. And then the next reset was usually about right around dinner time. And then that's when, Dawn would come home. The dads usually get home about that time. And that's a whole different dynamic to have another adult in the house that brings energy and, opportunity, if you will, to maybe take some of the kids away while you have a minute to prepare lunch, or dinner. And so for me, that's kind of how I would do the days. And so we can talk about it, like that. So
Yeah.
mornings we had a routine. We usually, and then have you heard the saying that mornings start the night before? And so that the night before we would figure out what we were going to wear if we were going somewhere. I would usually have an idea of what we were going to eat for breakfast. And so I didn't have to face the day with all those decisions. And so I'd usually have the house all straightened up before I went to bed. So we didn't have to wake up to a mess that morning. So let's say starting that morning, everybody would get up and they would come downstairs and we would eat breakfast, and it would be anywhere from I would fix people breakfast to they would fix it themselves. We would have eggs and all the things, or we would have cereal and toast. And I was pregnant the majority of the time, and when I was pregnant, I couldn't do bacon. I couldn't smell bacon. And so the children were robbed of bacon for about a couple decades of their life.
So much so that I didn't even think I liked bacon until recently. My husband started making it more and more in the mornings, and I was like, oh, wow, I actually enjoy this. Didn't have it for the majority of my childhood. If I did, it was very burnt.
Bacon is yum. And so one of my hacks I would do is I would pre-cook all the bacon, cook a whole bunch of bacon, and then we would just pull out a piece or two and we'd heat that up, and then it wasn't as big of a deal. So we would have breakfast, and early on we tried to do a family devotion. That did not work for me, and because I was usually up nursing all night, and to wake up small children was very much against everything in me. Yes, it still is. I cannot wake up people, but moms, those of you that can wake up your children actually love to be woken up. They love it. They love to have their smiling mama's face waking them up. And so it was my problem. So if you are a mom that likes to wake her kids up and you be in charge at the beginning of the day, well done. Do that. Go for it.
Well, and there's a lot of moms out there that wake up before their kids, and they do their morning routine, and they have their coffee, and they spend time with God, and they watch the sunrise, And so if you're a morning person, that's a huge practical to set into your rhythm, is getting your time to get filled up before your kids wake up, because you are, and I'm very much in the fresh season of learning this. I have a 1-year-old, but it's I'm a better mom when I've been with Jesus. It doesn't really matter what time of day it is. I'm just a better mom. So if that's you in the morning and you can get up and be with him without your kids and just have your own space, then you serve your family so well doing that.
And it's a great set for the day, Now, let's say that you've had a screaming kid all night long, or a nursing kid all night long, or sometimes I didn't sleep well. And so I had a hard time getting up in the morning. And I just remember y'all usually waking me up. Mom, feed us, wake up. Yeah. And so for me, I had to fit in hanging out with God throughout the day. I had to fit that in, whether it was we would read, I always had a Bible on the counter in the kitchen. And so over breakfast, we'd read a scripture together, or we would pray, or if the kids were outside. And so for me, I would kind of catch Jesus along the way when I could, or else for sure right before I went to bed. That was probably my biggest time. That was what helped calm me so I could go to sleep.
Well, and that kind of created our family culture of inviting Jesus in along the way. We talk about that a lot too, of hey, interact with him so your kids see you interacting, so he feels like a person. And it's as a mom, when you're home with your kids all day, use all those little moments as opportunities to invite Jesus in. I see my sister Madeline do this a lot. Oh, I'm so sorry that you fell and scraped your knee. Let's invite Jesus to heal it, and everyone stop and invite Jesus. Oh, you're fighting with your sibling. Okay, well, Jesus wants us to love and be best friends. And so let's invite him in. What does Jesus say about your sibling? You love them? Okay, Jesus love, it's There's
Yeah, I love it.
dialogue there, and you're listening to Holy Spirit. You're influencing your kids and building culture, but you're also getting filled up by Him along the way.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And so the rest of the morning routine was pretty much super simple. Do whatever I could to wear them out for nap time. And so if it was play outside in the backyard, at the park, at the library, meet friends, anything we could. I mean, I even laugh because it's so ingrained in me that when the grandbabies come over, I wear them out. We go outside, we had Macy's little girl, Selah, was here last week, and we walked this driveway. She's barely walking. She's only been walking for not even a month now, and just wore that baby out. So as soon as as soon as she hit the bed, she was like, oh, I love my bed.
Well, and it's such an interesting mindset. I think I realized when we were together in Texas last week, I was like, I think the very opposite. I wake up and I check myself and I'm like, I think I have about 84% battery life. How do I get to the end of the day with 20 to 30 left? And in order to wear your children out, you have to go hard, And I'm like, yeah, Selah was taking a zillion steps down the driveway, but Yaya was right there in a half squat walking with her, like this is no walk in the park to try and wear your kids out, but you're saying the fruit of it is the
Well,
evening, the
and I mean,
nighttime.
and know that, I mean, like we had a dear friend that she got out there and she played all the sports with her boys in the street. Me, not so much. Once again, always pregnant. I was the best audience ever, though. I would sit in that chair and I would cheer on whoever was performing and doing and jumping and, the trampoline or wherever that was. And so I definitely did not partake in all the expelling of energy that the children did, but I was there watching, yay, good job.
Yeah, cheering them on. But what you're
Yeah.
saying is like just using their energy, even like throughout the morning and into lunchtime, so that they hit their bed and they crash and they're ready for nap times.
Exactly. What do you need to do? So that's just the thought process. What are we going to do this morning? What's going to be our morning activity? Are we going to go out? Are we going to stay in? And how are we going to burn that energy? And if it's a rainy day, then figure out something to do in the house. In one of our houses, we had a stairway that went up one side and down the other. So it was two half stairs that joined it. They played ball games there. I mean, they played as many different activities. We had a place where you could run in a circle around the house. And so we played all sorts of relay games. We would set the microwave and they would have to run so many laps before the timer on the microwave went off. And so bean bags are a great, great thing to have to throw, toss, throw, pull your car out of the garage and let them play in the garage. Just so the morning time, the best thing you can do is activity to wear your kids out. I mean, and we homeschooled for a season. And so school was part of that activity too. We would go sit at our little table and we would do school, and between subjects, we would go do something active, run around, run around the circle 3 times or run to the mailbox and come back or something like that. So just keep that in mind. The first part of the day, come together for breakfast, have your activity, whether it's at home or away, and then lunchtime, and then nap time. And then this is one of the times that I would say is a reset, because we would straighten up and clean up. If we had messes out, or if we played or whatever that was, we would do a real quick reset before we went and took a nap. Now, nap time was sacred to me, and my children still make fun of me to this day about it, because it didn't matter if you were a newborn or if you were 12, 15, 18, we shut the house down from 1 to 3. And we went and took a rest time. And I think that was mainly because I'm actually an introvert, and to have all those little children needing me all the time really drained me. And so I needed to be refueled. And for me, that was to have my own thoughts, uninterrupted thoughts, for just a little while.
Yeah.
And so what that worked like Macy, you remember, what did you do when you didn't snap anymore? What did you do in your room for 2 hours?
I mean, I think we were allowed to not be in our room when we were older. So I think that was usually our like screen time for the day, or we would play dollhouse a lot, or babies. I think as I got into my like little age years, it was a lot of time in our game room, just playing and playing. And I remember it was like game room, little hallway, your room, long hallway. And then that's how you got downstairs at the end of the long hallway. And if we ever walked too loud on that long hallway. You would get so frustrated because that was your quiet time. So we'd like be playing, like, oh, I need a snack. And we'd go in the hallway and be like, tiptoe, like all the way down the hallway. And then we'd run down the stairs. And we were like, there's no way those stairs were quieter than the hallway. But there's just this like culture of rest, slow down, play. I think there were still days, even when I was probably like 7, 8, 9, where I still took a nap. Like if we wore ourselves out that morning, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna lay on my bed while my baby takes a nap, and then I would fall asleep. Like it just, the culture of rest was very much there in the middle of the day.
Yes, we probably should have been like in a Central America country for siestas. But you guys all love naps now. And so there's somewhere along the way you did pick up the value of having that break,
Yeah.
that rest time, even if it's not every single day. And there were obviously days that it didn't work out and we had to pick kids up for Mother's Day out. And so it wasn't every single day, but it was definitely my goal to get to rest time.
Yeah.
And then I love it that you said that, because I do think that there's probably moms that are out there with older kids. I think that just to encourage you that it is valuable that their kids have some alone time to build their own creative play. And you can put the boundaries there where they have to stay in their room or they can stay in their playroom. And I remember having to train each one of you guys. Nope, you don't interrupt mommy. Nope, this is not a time. And it wasn't, and I remember I was probably not pleasant. And so therefore you didn't want to wake up the, sleeping bear.
Beast.
The beast, exactly. And so I don't know if it was by trial and error that you guys chose to really respect that time, or if you just loved me so much, you just knew I'd be a better mommy. I'm not real sure, but just to encourage you moms that I give you permission to take some time for yourself in the day. You do not have to be on all day long. You can take a break. So
Yeah. Another thing just really practical that I remember is, like, I've heard moms say, like, I can't sleep when my kids are in the house because, like, what if they go outside, or like, what if my 3-year-old opens the door and runs away or whatever. We had like bolt locks on the tops of all of our outside doors. Like, I remember our front door had one. I remember our back door had one. And then we weren't tall enough to open the garage. And so I remember we were not allowed to go outside. And there was like a boundary, like a physical boundary there that prevented us from going outside. And so just for moms, like, that's not like a prison, if you keep your house safe during the day, that's totally a thing to do, especially if you have littles and they're like free and not in a crib and, running around your house or anything like that. Just like practical things like that to help you get rest. I think we utilized.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to kind of move into the afternoon, evening part, and just kind of scooping in the dads and the family culture piece. What did evenings look like for you guys, and how did you and dad work together to be a team to take on family for those evening hours?
Yeah, so that afternoon, evening time, I mean, just depended on the season. When they were littles, I would say that was probably the hardest part, that 4 or 5 o'clock time, because the kids are all ready to eat, but dad's not home yet. And we've already done all our fun things that morning. And so we aren't going back out again. And so that is usually when we would default to screen time or computer games or something.
Well, in the summertime, we were always swimming. I just remember it was like, as soon as you woke up from naps, we could swim, and we did that while you made dinner or till dad got home or whatever. So if you're in a place where you have summer months, but in the fall, winter, spring, it can be a little bit harder.
Yes. Yes. And we're heading into the fall right now, but summer and water, a must, put a sprinkler on, put pitchers of water in the backyard and let them play in water. There's
so much good technology out there now. There's like reusable water tables, where the water just cycles itself with like a battery or a little motor. So just finding stuff on like, reused marketplaces or whatever, anything you can do to just entertain and keep them outside or keep them getting all their energy out.
Yeah. And what is it? 1,000 hours outside or something like that. There's like this whole trend that's happening. And so our children, when I raised you guys were outside a lot. I mean, I just remember you being outside a lot.
Whole world we created outside. I remember one night we wanted so bad to sleep in that fort that was like at the back of our yard.
Yes.
I was like, yeah, sure, take all your stuff out there. It's August in Texas, and we were inside by like 9:30.
You're probably getting eaten alive by mosquitoes
and frogs. And frogs were jumping into the fort.
Yeah, but as much time as you can get them outside is beautiful. It just really does neutralize their energy. And I don't know, when I get to heaven, I'm gonna say, okay, God, help me understand why you gave children so much more energy than adults. I mean, I know that we are heavy laden and burdened with responsibilities and worrying and all of that stuff. And so that zaps some of our energy. But I mean, and children play and that creates more energy. And so maybe if we played more like children, we'd have more energy.
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing I just give you. I just encourage you to do, moms, that two things. One, include your children in your work so that you're not doing all the work. Include them. I mean, even when grandbabies are here now, they help me get the clothes out of the dryer. They help me unload the dishwasher. They help me fold and put away. And my kids did that too. We all worked and then we all played. And so if you can incorporate them in your work, then the second thing is to play with them. They love it. Whatever it is, whether it's a card game or a board game or any kind of game, but you can't do that if you've got so much work to do. And so delegate the work, even with littles. I mean, Selah was 1 year old and she was doing the laundry and unloading the dishwasher with me. So
Yeah.
put them in your work and then you join them in their play. And that makes the day just so much more fun.
Yeah. So
And
good.
then to answer what you said, so to get to the evening, so when the dad comes home. And so either the dad comes in, and Don had heard, men out there or wives, share with your husband, Don had heard somewhere along the way that from his commute from work to home, that if he was going to change gears and leave work at work, and he was going to start praying about home and thinking about each of the kids at home and how he can give them the attention that they need and give them what they need. And so by the time he got home, he was all in and he was ready. And he makes the joke that when he hit the door, he knew that he was going to be like, okay, kids, everybody outside, let's leave mom alone, or let's get in the car and go on a little, or let's go play, or let's, or he could hang out in the kitchen with me and you guys could all hang around and we could all work together to get dinner ready. And so
I do remember, I just read this in a book the other day too. I do remember that he did walk in the door and give himself like 5 to 10 minutes. Like he'd go upstairs and he'd change his clothes,
yeah,
take
go
his
to the
change out of his pocket.
bathroom.
And I like remember all of his steps. And I remember like watching him do that because he would let us be around, but he had a good boundary of like, let me transition, physically so that I can be, fully present. But he wasn't like walking in the door on his phone. I mean, he didn't really have a phone. Cell phones weren't really a thing yet, but like
Well,
he wasn't.
he would even stay in the car and finish his call before he came
Yeah,
in.
yeah, he would close out the day, and then like I know he probably thought about work or had stresses for work, but he didn't bring those into the evening. I feel like he did a really good job of like being fully in dad job mode from 5 to 9 or 6 to 10 or whatever the window was. And I think kids, like, you don't really realize that in the moment, but you actually notice it. Like, if your dad is present or not when he comes home. And, like, you notice it with your mom, too, but you're with her for a lot more time. So if she's absent-minded for an hour or two, it's kind of whatever. But dads, it's like there's usually such a smaller window they're with you that if you're not present with them, it, like, really does make a difference.
Yes, and the thing that we didn't have to battle with, and Macy mentioned it, is the phone. We didn't have it. I didn't have one until I was 32. I don't know how old you were when I was 32, Macy, but I mean, it just wasn't even a thing. And it wasn't even a fancy phone until I don't even know how old, an
Yeah.
iPhone. I mean, it was a flip
All
phone.
got iPhones at the same time, which is
Yes,
even
we all,
more wild if you think about it. Like we were all learning to use it together.
yeah. And so it's just it's such a crazy world out there now that kids are having to compete with that as well as responsibilities, worries, stresses, job, mom's friends, parents, all that. There's so many other things that they're having to worry about, but now they've got that screen to compete with.
But I think that is a really good point too. And we can kind of land the plane here. I know we could probably talk about practicals for forever, but it's like, just because we have it doesn't mean we have to have it in front of us. Like your family could make a cultural piece of like, hey, we're going to try Monday through Friday from 5 to 8 to not use our phones. Like that is family time. That's sacred. Honey, can you and I both commit, and just see what it does for our family culture, looking our kids in the eyes, talking to them, playing with, laughing them, seeing all the tiny, funny things they do. Like that alone could totally change your family culture and your marriage, and your like unity as parents. And so I just think just because we have those temptations doesn't mean we have to put them in front of our kids, or like we can choose.
Yeah. And so just to wrap up, like you said, we could talk forever. Someone once said that when you're raising children, the days are long, but the years are short. And so I just want to encourage you that during your days, what will make it long and what will make it hard is your perspective.
Yeah.
If you wake up dreading the day, or this is hard, or, oh, I don't want to deal with that kid, or we've got this activity. If you wake up with that negative attitude, then that's going to make your day be long. But if you will embrace the goofiness of your kids and the silliness and even the messiness and the fun and the joy that they just carry with them, if you will embrace that, then the day will really be fun. And so the last practical I want to leave you with is smile as much as you can and take every opportunity to laugh. Yeah. And if something terrible happens, choose to laugh first, and then on the other side of it, use the consequences, because laughter is what's going to really redeem your days and make them be amazing.
Yeah. Love that. Okay, we just want you to hopefully take some practicals away from this. If you're a working mom, we could probably do a whole nother podcast on that. If you have specific questions, please respond. Email us at podcast@crazycoolfamily.com. And we want to give more insight than maybe this podcast holds. But take these ideas, run with them. And thank you so much for listening. Parents, you're amazing. Go be crazy. crazycoolfamily.com.